Have you ever wondered what makes wrestling so enthralling? Today, let's delve into one of the key elements that gives wrestling its unique appeal: the role of the general manager, or GM. In the world of wrestling, the GM is like the conductor of an orchestra, orchestrating the ebb and flow of the show. Their primary responsibility is to ensure a smooth, seamless performance, free of unexpected surprises or run-ins. A good GM strives to maintain order, even when the wrestlers themselves might crave a bit of chaos. Take Adam Pearce, for example. He's the kind of GM who would rather have a wrestling show go off without a hitch, rather than risk any form of unpredictability. No surprises, no tomfoolery, just raw wrestling action. He's the kind of GM who schedules a promo with no rascality, just a straightforward declaration of a fight at WrestleMania. Now, some may argue that this approach could make the show boring, that it removes the element of surprise that makes wrestling so exciting. However, it's this very predictability that contributes to the suspense and anticipation. Because when everything is expected to go according to plan, even the slightest deviation can send shockwaves through the audience, sparking excitement and intrigue. This is very much in line with the older yet ever-eroding wrestling rule that wrestlers and commentators have never watched wrestling. It's a fascinating paradox that's been wrestling's bread and butter for time immemorial. It's also rather adorable, seeing how these old tropes refuse to die out. So, while Pearce may just want order, his efforts to maintain control over his show inadvertently make it more interesting to watch. It's the tension between the GM's desire for order and the wrestler's craving for chaos that truly fuels the drama in wrestling. So the GM plays a crucial role in setting the stage for the wrestling match, but it's the wrestlers who truly bring the show to life. Wrestling has come a long way from its humble beginnings. From its inception, it was a raw display of physical prowess, a test of strength and endurance, a battle of wills. But as time went on, wrestling began to evolve, to change, to grow. It was no longer just about raw strength and sheer determination. Strategy, skill, and showmanship became just as important. In the early days, wrestling rules were simple. Two combatants would enter the ring, and the one who could pin the other, or force them to submit, would emerge victorious. But over time, these rules began to change. New techniques were introduced, new moves were invented, and the sport began to take on a life of its own. The introduction of weight classes, the establishment of wrestling federations, and the advent of televised wrestling matches all contributed to the evolution of the sport. Wrestling became more than just a physical contest, it became a spectacle, a form of entertainment that captivated audiences worldwide. And yet, despite all these changes, some old tropes still hold strong. The role of the general manager, or GM, is one such trope. The GM is a figure of authority, a power broker, who sets the rules and enforces them. They are the ones who ensure that the fights are fair, that the wrestlers follow the rules, and that order is maintained. And yet, the GM is often portrayed as a stickler for order, a no-nonsense figure who wants nothing more than for the matches to go off without a hitch. They don't want any surprises, any run-ins, any shenanigans. They just want the wrestlers to fight, to put on a show for the audience. But in doing so, they often find themselves in conflict with the wrestlers, who are always looking for ways to bend the rules, to gain an edge, to put on a better show. Wrestling has evolved tremendously over the years, but at its core, it remains a sport of strength, strategy, and spectacle. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of wrestling that despite all the changes, the sport continues to captivate audiences around the world. One name that stands out in the wrestling world is The Rock. A moniker synonymous not only with wrestling, but also with the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson as he's known in the film industry, has made an incredibly successful transition from the wrestling ring to the silver screen. His journey began with a role that was fittingly larger than life. Cast as a CG abomination in The Mummy Returns, The Rock then starred in The Scorpion King. These roles were enough to earn him the title of Hollywood Rock in the wrestling world. Yet back then, this was all he'd done. His Hollywood journey was just starting to take flight. Fast forward to today, and The Rock boasts an impressive filmography filled with blockbusters. From action-packed thrillers like Rampage and Walking Tall to family favorites like Moana, The Rock has proven his versatility as an actor. Even his flops are spectacular, and that's a testament to The Rock's charisma and talent. But what's truly remarkable is how The Rock has managed to intertwine his Hollywood persona with his wrestling character. For instance, he recently introduced a new entrance that was coded to his character Black Adam from the DC universe. The entrance was nothing short of electrifying, much like his performance in the film. And then, there was the moment on SmackDown when The Rock quoted his song from Moana. "What can I say except you're welcome?" An iconic line from an iconic film delivered in the wrestling ring. This is The Rock in his element, bridging the worlds of wrestling and Hollywood. He's even brought in characters from his other films. From Luke Hobbs in Fast and Furious to his role in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. The Rock has opened the floodgates, bringing his entire filmography into the wrestling ring. The Rock truly embodies the evolution of wrestling, seamlessly blending the worlds of wrestling and Hollywood. He's not just a wrestler or an actor, he's an entertainer who knows how to captivate an audience, whether he's in a wrestling ring or on the big screen. So, what have we learned today about wrestling and the role of the GM? We've seen how the GM, the unsung hero of wrestling, operates behind the scenes to create a seamless experience. They're the orchestrator of order, often preferring a predictable show, free from the quirks and rascalities that make wrestling such a spectacle. We've also delved into the evolution of wrestling, where the old adage, wrestlers and commentators have never watched wrestling, seems to be fading away. Then, we've talked about The Rock, a true testament to how wrestling and Hollywood can intertwine. From his early days as a wrestler to his rise as a Hollywood star, The Rock has brought a unique flavor to the wrestling world, infusing his performances with elements of his blockbuster movies. Whether you're a wrestling fan or not, there's no denying the impact of this sport on popular culture, and the fascinating role the GM plays in shaping the wrestling experience.